Hi, and thanks for taking some time to watch today's Connect video. It's Tuesday, July 16th. Hope you're having a great start to the week. And just a few things to remind you about some ministry and events happening. If you're new to CDOBC, we have a welcome class at the end of the month, Wednesday night, July 31st. And a great way to get a bunch of information about the church. Great way to ask questions. I host this class. So Wednesday, July 31st, please RSVP to the church office. You can do that a couple of different ways. You can obviously call the office, 520-297-3900, or go on the website. You can go to cdobible.org/events and sign up there, or send an email to the office@cdobible.org. And please RSVP. We just have to have enough booklets and everything for everyone. So would love to have you part of that. And join me on Wednesday night, July 31st. Awana begins the following week then. August 7th is our first night of Awana. So preschool through 6th grade is the age of kids for Awana. So a couple things. Sign up your own kids if you have kids that age or grandkids. And tell your friends if they've got kids that age and everything. Tell your friends, your kids' friends, parents. Bring someone to Awana. We'd love to be able to minister to people that way through their kids and help the kids have a great time in the middle of the week. We're also looking for volunteers who can help with Awana. If you're interested or you have questions, contact Dale Byer. And you can contact him at awana@cdobible.org. We have a school supply drive. We've done this a number of years. Donaldson Elementary and Coronado K through 8 are two schools we partner with. And school supply lists, they are available on the info wall in the library. And here's a picture of that wall. They're kind of near the Welcome Center area. You can drop off supplies on Sunday mornings. There's a little school bus at the Next Gen Kids lobby area. So you can drop them off there, or if you want to drop them off during the week, drop them off here in the lower lobby. And final collection day for this is July 28th. And then the D-backs Faith and Family Night coming up soon, August 9th, the D-backs versus the Philadelphia Phillies. There's a Casting Crowns concert after the game. Usually some player testimonies before the concert gets up and running. Sign-up deadline, July 24th. July 24th, so a week and a couple of days or something like that. So Faith and Family Night, always a great time. We'll have a big group going up there to the game and be in a section together, so hope you can join us for that. So this summer I'm showing some reruns of two previous Connect video series, and two series that I'm showing here this summer. The first one's on Reformed Theology, which originally ran in the first half of 2023, and then the second series is on the church, and that originally aired in 2021. So today is week number 3 of Reformed Theology, so let's begin with part 3 of Reformed Theology. We're in a series of videos that I really hope will help increase our understanding of Reformed theology. And I'm doing this because Reformed theology is kind of a popular topic recently, and in many cases, I think it's misunderstood. And it's also a bit controversial, I think, due to some of that misunderstanding. But last week, we looked at core belief number 1, the authority of Scripture. And we also then looked at the 5 solas and the 5 solas of the Reformation, and one of the prominent ones there, obviously, is sola scriptura. So that's what we looked at last time. Now, since we're a Protestant church, and therefore a product of the Reformation, much of our theological beliefs actually line up very closely with Reformed theology, because that's kind of where our movement, at a larger picture there, was birthed, if you will, through the Reformation. Today we're going to look at core belief number 2, and that is the sovereignty of God. So, Reformed theology teaches that God rules with absolute control over all creation, that he has foreordained all events, and is therefore never frustrated by circumstances. Now, this does not limit the will of the creature or human will, right? Nor does it make God the author of sin. Now, from the RCA, the Reformed Churches in America website, they give an overview of their key beliefs there. So, under theology proper, this area of the study of God, they write this, that this sovereignty of God is a belief that, quote, nothing happens in this world without God's orderly arrangement. And that is from the Belgic Confession, Article 13. A verse that they would refer to with this would be 1 Chronicles 29, verse 11 and 12. It says this, yours, O Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the victory and the majesty, for all that is in the heavens and in the earth is yours. Yours is the kingdom, O Lord, and you are exalted as head above all. Both riches and honor come from you, and you rule over all. In your hand are power and might, and in your hand it is to make great and to give strength to all. Okay, so one of those verses, one of the many, many verses that speak to God's greatness or his sovereignty, his majesty and power and kingship and et cetera, okay? Now, I mentioned last week there's a lot of theologians that fall under Reformed theology, many that we refer to quite often. Here's a definition from A.W. Pink on the sovereignty of God. He says this, quote, to say that God is sovereign is to declare that he is the Almighty, the possessor of all power in heaven and earth, so that none can defeat his counsels, thwart his purpose, or resist his will, close quote. He gives a verse from Psalm 115, verse 3 here, our God is in the heavens, he does all that he pleases. Now, we could talk for hours and hours on the sovereignty of God, but hopefully you get a sense that's what when we mention sovereignty of God, those are the things we're talking about, right? He's above all, rules all. Now, one of the problems some people have with Reformed theology's belief in the sovereignty of God is in regard to human free will. And this problem with free will extends in other areas of Reformed theology, which we will look at in subsequent videos. So we'll revisit this whole topic. But some believe the Reformed view of God's sovereignty is too dominant, and it doesn't allow for human free will. So let's just touch on this just a bit. And that question of human free will, it's a bit more complicated than you might think. Now, I cannot give you a complete answer in this video. There's certainly not enough time. But I want you to see the problem or challenge when we talk of human free will, okay? I think the primary problem or question is, well, what is free will? What do we mean when we say we have free will? What does that mean? What do we mean by that, right? Biblically, so let's look at this biblically because I think that's the best way to look at it, right? Biblically, before the fall, before Adam's sin, Adam and Eve had perfect and complete free will, meaning they were free to choose holiness or free to choose sin. They had the capacity, the ability to do either one, to choose either one of those things. Well, as we know too well, they chose sin, right? As soon as that choice was made, it damaged or disabled human free will for the rest of us. John Piper says this. Now, track this, and I'll read it as slowly as I can, but he says, quote, as soon as Adam fell into sin, human nature was profoundly altered. Now man was not able not to sin. Right? So now man was not able not to sin. In the fall, human nature lost its freedom not to sin, close quote. So a result of the fall, beyond the obvious, was that we lost our free will in the fall. Piper then asks, well, why is man not able not to sin? All right? Why is that? He then gives some scripture passages that speak to this problem, to our lack of or our lack of total or lack of complete free will, right? John 3:6. He There's 3 verses here. John 3:6. That which is born of the flesh, Jesus says, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. That which is born of the flesh is flesh. That which is born of the Spirit is spirit. So there's a distinction that we're a product of what we're born of, so to speak, right? Romans 8:7 and 8. For the mind that is set on the flesh is hostile to God, for it does not submit to God's law. Indeed, it cannot. Those who are in the flesh cannot please God. Notice 2 times Paul says it cannot. We're not able to. 1 Corinthians 2, Paul writes, the natural person, the unsaved, that'd be the unsaved, right? The natural person does not accept the things of the Spirit of God, for they are folly to him, and he is not able to understand them because they are spiritually discerned. So notice they are not able to understand these things. So here's the point or the takeaway from those verses and what Piper talks about in that article. He says, here's the point. Free will, as we tend to think of it, right? Being completely free to make any choice and do anything that we desire, right? Only Adam and Eve were truly free in their ability to choose or to act. The reality then is that none of us are really completely or absolutely free because we are a slave to sin. We're a slave to the flesh. The fallen man or woman cannot choose God, not able to choose the things of God, right? Cannot accept the things of God, the Spirit of God. So what we think of as human free will is not really a thing at all, right? After the fall. So just think about that a little bit. As Reformed theology has this strong view of the sovereignty of God. And actually, the sovereignty of God is something you see all throughout the Bible. It is a biblical teaching. It's something we certainly would agree with, something that I talk about quite often in messages. And actually, in the sovereignty of God, we find a great deal of comfort in the sovereignty of God and the teaching about that. Because it helps us have peace or comfort about the chaos. When we know that God is sovereign and in control of all things, has foreordained all things and everything else, you instead of worrying about all the circumstances, you just rest in the perfections of God. So hey, thanks for taking some time to watch this video. Hopefully that helps you understand Reformed theology a little better. This coming Sunday, our series, Great Women of the Bible, the message is The Godly Prostitute. So make sure you're here for that one. And I hope you can join us. 9:30 or 11 are our service times. And the live stream is available if you are not in town or unable to be here in person. We'd love for you to join us via the live stream. You can check out our website, cdobible.org, and get a link there to the live stream. That'll take you to our YouTube channel, or you can go straight to the YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search out Canyon del Oro Bible Church, click on our logo there, and go ahead and subscribe to that page. But you can watch the live stream there, and hope you'll join us. And I hope you have a great week, and I hope you're a blessing to everyone you meet. Bye-bye.